Hi Taurus, welcome to your end of December, I almost said October, 2019 General Tarot Update. I'm Raina, and you can see in my incense holder, there's some Palo Santo. If you've ever, I go to this one spiritual center, and they like to burn Palo Santo even more than sage, which is kind of like similar to purify the atmosphere. And I didn't, it's such a distinctive smell. It's very woodsy, but it just has like this really cool smell. So if you've never used it, you can use it instead of sage, and it does the same thing. And it's a nice alternative to regular incense as well. I actually bought it at Whole Foods, so it's, you don't have to go someplace special. So, okay. Little tip for the day. Just shuffling the cards here. I just want to say, now that you have Jupiter in Capricorn, this isn't a fellow Earth, and that can be very good for manifestation as well. So there's going to be a solar eclipse on Christmas or the next day, Boxing Day, depending on where you live, on the 26th. And it's going to be there's going to be a conjunction with Jupiter. So for Capricorn, for Taurus, this is occurring in your 9th house. I mean, it does depend on your natal chart, though. So this can be a really good time for because having that trine to Jupiter is definitely nice for the next year. So enjoy. Okay, let's see. But that particular solar eclipse is going to be connected possibly to issues with higher education and perhaps anything related to traveling long distance. Maybe you'll get more opportunities for that. Anything spiritual that you would like to do. The heart of the matter for this last portion of December is the Ten of Wands. Maybe some of you are working overtime because of the holidays. You can feel like you have a lot on your plate, which is certainly understandable given the time of year. It is kind of a balancing act, isn't it? Trying to just do your normal routine in addition to holiday preparations. And I feel kind of silly saying that because I really don't do anything for the holidays, so I'm just it's just business as usual. But I remember doing things and that kind of harried feeling. But take care of yourself. Don't burn the candle at both ends thinking that you're going to accomplish something. Pace yourself. And also, this can be taking on somebody else's responsibility. Don't do that because anything in the realm of codependency can be quite, it can be damaging to another person. It's like you might think you're doing a favor for somebody by taking on their responsibilities when they're being irresponsible, but actually it just enables them to continue being irresponsible, and it doesn't add anything to your life. You're not gaining anything from it yourself. So nobody is winning in that particular situation. In the past position, we have the Hermit card. perhaps you have been alone and you now are with somebody that may be a handful. You know, maybe that's what the Ten of Wands is. Maybe it's a fire sign. I was thinking, like, in terms of fire signs, you tend to be with Leos. And Leo would be a handful, because the Leo person may expect, all, this continuous flow of admiration, and just, you might get a little bit worn out with somebody like that, because you're kind of like, give me the attention that you're seeking. Maybe you feel like you have to put this person, that you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And so, again, depending on what type of person you're with, if this is somebody who is showing signs of narcissism, there's not going to be an even exchange of energy. I don't like to say, things are perfectly even, because it doesn't have to be that way either. But definitely in terms of giving attention to another person, I think that it always should be something that two people are doing for each other, and it's not just like a one-way street where one person's always like calling the other person, they're always like trying to make plans, and the other person is kind of like, doesn't even seem like they're contributing to the relationship. And the other thing too is, maybe you have shut yourself out from relationships altogether, and you've just kind of been doing a lot of work. And there may be reasons for that. When I look at the higher message, I get the soulmate card, which is kind of interesting. In one sense, this can be that you have had this dream that you're pouring everything into, that you've had for many years, maybe since childhood. This is what that card represents. The Six of Cups can be your literal children. So maybe you have been not dating, seeing anybody, because you just want to raise your children. You don't want any kind of nonsense and drama. You just want to be with your children, and you don't need that kind of distraction in your life with a relationship. And usually in those cases, it's going to be because of, some negative situation that has already occurred, or maybe multiple situations where you finally have gotten to the point where you said, you know what, I don't have a good track record with this area of life, so I'm just going to kind of chill for that, with that right now. And I don't really need that. Also, the Six of Cups can be that you have decided that, a person in your life who you consider your soulmate is the only person that you're interested in pursuing. So so you're willing to be single and a hermit and work your butt off until you can be with that person. And there may be, mitigating circumstances that I'm not going to get into that have led to this, but that could also be what that card represents in that position. What crosses you is the Empress. And this is actually a card that's connected to your sign. In the challenge position, I don't know if this is something that has been true in the past, and maybe you're kind of working your way out of this, because sometimes the Empress in reverse is when women use their feminine wiles to get what they want, but it has disastrous results. So the woman who, sorry about those freaking trains. There's like, it seems like they've been very busy today, so maybe it's because of all the shipments for Christmas. The woman who is very seductive, and definitely Taurian women have that quality, that sexy quality, because you're an earth sign. So that earthiness, you're ruled by Venus, so you tend to be feminine as a woman, but it's hard sometimes to resist the temptation of using that to your, for your benefit when it comes to like trying to get something that you want. And I know that I'm going to get in trouble here because people are going to get offended. I don't mean it in a nasty kind of way at all. What I mean is that when women are naturally attractive, and a lot of Taurus women will naturally be sexy and attractive because of that Venus connection, you don't even, and I'm talking about the opposite sex. I can't speak to the same sex situation because that will be different if a woman is dealing with a woman. But with the opposite sex, it can be very easy to get into situations where you have a man who wants to give you things, and you're naturally receptive to that, especially if you have Venus in Taurus as well, where you kind of like, your attitude is that this is how love works, is that, there's a monetary component to it where you may judge somebody's love by, how expensive the gift is. And it's actually not crassly materialistic. It's just the way that you are wired. And you actually have to kind of, what I would say, override that tendency and be able to see how that isn't necessarily true at all. That there may be, and sometimes it is true, sometimes when somebody doesn't, a gift isn't always going to show that somebody loves you, but a lack of, remembering a birthday or something like that can show that a person is wrapped up in themselves and that they're not really that tuned into you. So I don't make those extreme judgments, black or white, but if you have some of those attitudes, they're kind of lingering, it can just create this cycle. Even if you haven't been dating for a while because you're tired of it, you may not have made those connections between, especially with having physical relations very early in the relationship and thinking that, yes, this is what I have to do to please a man. If you're a male Taurus, watching this, this may be the type of woman that you tend to find yourself attracted to, and you have to kind of be very conscious about it. Don't look at don't look at a woman's attractiveness in deciding what kind of character she has, or whether she's somebody that you want to be with. You have to override those tendencies. We all have to override certain tendencies when we're, all the different signs in various ways. And this happens to be the way that Taurus has to. Or otherwise, they can just find themselves in one relationship after the other that are very kind of what I would say earthbound, where they're very concerned with sex and money and all those things that are material, but they don't translate into love, which is what you're really looking for. And the Six of Cups, yeah, that's another thing too. It's like soulmate material. Who is it? And I'm not talking about the classic soulmate. Oh, this is the only person you can ever love. I'm just talking about somebody at the soul level that you really connect with, and you really feel like you have a meaning of the minds, but it's like the consciousness. It's not just like the intellectual mind, you know what I mean? So coming in is the Three of Swords. So this can indicate making a clean break from something that is very draining to you. And by the way, this could also be a workplace situation. Perhaps you're doing the work of other people, and you've done a lot of soul searching with the Hermit. You've decided that this isn't for you, but you haven't quit yet, you may decide yourself that you're going to pull the plug on this because you realize that it just isn't working out for you, that this isn't what you want, that you want something more out of life. But in terms of like a relationship, yeah, and another thing too is that if you are in a relationship with somebody and you feel like you're just kind of doing everything, you may even suspect that this person is having a third, that there's a third party in this, and that could be what the Empress in reverse is. And that person may be the one who's the gold digger or the, the shameless hussy. And the thing is that the Three of Swords could be you're involved in this lover's triangle, but also it could be that you cut yourself very cleanly from it. And the outcome is a great card. Going into the new year, Ace of Swords, seeing the truth of the situation. So same thing with the work situation. You may have to acknowledge that you have not been treated as you should have been, and that may feel really hurtful because you may even feel like you were led on or something like that. Well, that happens to the best of us. People, sometimes in the workplace, people are going to say what they need to say in order to get what they want to get from people. And we have to be willing to get over it, so to speak. Yes, of course, it's disappointing when people do that, but not to feel, because the Three of Swords can be feeling rejected. And that can, when you feel rejected, it means that you feel like you're not good enough, that you didn't make the cut. And that is, very problematic because you don't want to feel like there's something wrong with you, because there isn't, just because you didn't get what you thought maybe working extra hard was going to get that for you. I remember same thing happened with me. I thought I was going to be indispensable. I was going to, do all these things. And it didn't lead to me being treated better, respected more, kind of getting some kind of promotion or anything like that. And the thing is that what I realized is that you have to have your own sense of self. If you go into a job situation and you are, you're approaching it from the position of feeling like you need to prove yourself, then you're already behind the 8 ball, because you're just, there's kind of a lack of consciousness there that you have something to prove. If you come into a situation and you own that situation, just meaning that you're not there feeling like you're not, that you have to show them that you've got what it takes, but you're just kind of like, I'm a free agent. Even though you have hired me, I still call the shots in my own life, and I can decide whether I continue to work for you or not. I don't have to, you don't own me because I work for you, and therefore I have nothing to prove to you. It's not being, a difficult person or cocky or anything like that. It's just like a quiet confidence. And then you're in a much better position because your frame of mind is not focused on, I have to prove that I'm good enough. You're coming already from a position of strength. So the Ace of Swords is a new beginning, and the clarity of mind. The swords have to do with mind, but sometimes, with the Three of Swords, you might have to cut something out of your life because it's actually creating a lot of lack of clarity. And this could be another person who isn't telling the truth, who is stringing you along. And once you're able to see the truth for what it is, and it doesn't destroy you, it actually emboldens you, then you can fully move on. Until then, you're kind of maybe are between two worlds, and that's not really a good position to be in. Okay, Taurus, that's what I have for you. If you would like a look at 2020, the transits, and even better, I mean, I have like an extended transits reading that I'm linking below, but even better is a natal chart interpretation, which also includes, you know, some of the highlights of 2020. You can click the link below. You can go to rainandmoonastrology.com. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of December. Take care. Bye.